If your onions keep getting soft or moldy way too quickly, there's a good chance you're storing them right next to their worst enemy. Hello everyone, thanks for coming to my channel. For the longest time, I thought my onions were going bad just because they were old. But it turns out the real problem was how I was storing them. Today, I'll show you a few simple changes that can help keep your onions firm and fresh and full of flavor for months. So stick around, because one of these tips can actually keep onions fresh for up to a whole year. Have you noticed how onions at home seem to spoil so fast? There are a few reasons for this, but the most common one comes from a habit. Many people don't even realize they have bringing onions home from the store and leaving them in the plastic bag. It feels convenient, but that plastic bag is actually one of the main reasons onions spoil so quickly. Even if the bag has small holes, it still traps moisture. And moisture is an onion's biggest enemy. In that closed, stuffy space, mold can grow really fast. After just a few days, you may notice dark spots on the skin. And when you touch them, the onions feel soft or even mushy. That's because onions need proper airflow. Their thin, papery skins stay dry and protective. Only when air can circulate around them. When air gets trapped, moisture builds up. The onions slowly rot and lose their firmness before you even get a chance to use them. So whenever you bring onions home, get into the habit of taking them out of the plastic bag right away. Another big reason onions spoil so fast is where you store them. Many people keep onions next to potatoes because it's convenient, but in reality, that's a really bad combination. Onions naturally release ethylene gas, which makes nearby produce ripen faster and sprout sooner. When potatoes absorb that gas, they start sprouting much earlier. At the same time, potatoes contain a lot of moisture and constantly release humidity into the air. That moisture makes onions soft, moldy, and causes them to rot much faster than normal. So one encourages sprouting and the other adds moisture, and they end up ruining each other. The good news is, the fix is really simple. Just store onions and potatoes a few feet apart and keep them in separate areas. With this small change, onions stay dry, firm, and fresh much longer. And potatoes won't sprout as quickly either. Now let's talk about the right ways to store onions. Method 1, store them in a basket or paper bag. As mentioned earlier, onions really hate moisture. So instead of plastic bags, use something breathable, like a basket or a paper bag. If you're using a basket, that's great, because it allows plenty of airflow. Place the onions gently inside. And don't overcrowd them so they don't bruise each other. This setup lets air flow freely around each onion, keeping the skins dry and preventing moisture buildup. Note, keep the basket in a cool, dry place, away from direct sunlight. And don't wash the onions before storing them. No basket? That's totally fine. You can reuse paper grocery bags, or any paper bag you already have at home. Just punch a few holes in the bag. Those holes act like air vents, letting moisture escape instead of getting trapped. Once your onions are in a breathable container, store them in a dark, cool place, like a pantry, cabinet, or basement. Onions store best at temperatures between 45 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit, or roughly 7 to 13 degrees Celsius. This keeps them dormant and helps prevent sprouting. With this simple change, your onions can stay firm, dry, and flavorful for weeks or even months, just because they get the airflow they need. Method 2, hanging onions in pantyhose. Another excellent long-term storage method is hanging onions using pantyhose. All you need is a clean pair. This trick has been used for generations. Use thin, clean, dry nylon stockings with no moisture or odor. They can even be torn as long as they're still strong. Note: don't use dirty stockings or ones that still smell. Start by dropping one onion into the toe of the pantyhose. Tie a knot just above it to keep it in place. Add another onion and tie another knot. And keep going until you've made a long chain. This keeps each onion separated, so they never touch each other. That way, if one onion goes bad, it won't affect the rest. Once it's ready, hang it in a pantry, cool cellar, or any well-ventilated space. Air can circulate freely around each onion, keeping the skins dry and preventing moisture buildup. This helps prevent mold and slows down sprouting. Another bonus is how convenient this method is. When you need an onion, just cut off one section with scissors, or untie the knot if you don't want to cut it. You can reuse the pantyhose again and again. With this simple but effective method, onions can stay fresh, firm, and tasty for months. It also saves space since you hang them up high. Just don't hang them in hot, damp places or near the stove. Method 3, storing cut onions. If you only use half an onion and want to save the rest, the solution is simple: use an airtight container. Once an onion is cut, it releases natural juices, and even a little extra moisture can make it slimy or smelly. Before storing, gently pat the cut side dry with a cloth or paper towel. Then place a clean, dry paper towel at the bottom of the container. This helps absorb excess moisture and keeps the container dry. Seal the lid tightly and store it in the refrigerator. A sealed container keeps bacteria and odors from spreading in the fridge. Limiting exposure to oxygen also helps onions last longer. The cold temperature slows spoilage and prevents mold and bacteria from growing too fast. Using this method, cut onions can stay fresh for up to a week. It also keeps the smell from spreading in your fridge. You reduce waste by using it little by little instead of throwing it away. And it helps keep your food safe by preventing mold and bacteria. If the paper towel gets damp, just replace it with a new one. This keeps absorbing moisture and helps the onions stay crisp. It also helps stop mold and bacteria from forming. Always make sure the container is clean. And double check that it's sealed tightly so odors don't spread. Method 4, freezing onions. Freezing is another great option, especially if you want onions ready to cook anytime. Peel the onions and cut them into small pieces so they're easy to blend. Put them into a blender or a food processor. Close the lid and blend until smooth. You can add a little cooking oil to help them last longer and prevent discoloration. There's no need to add water. It'll make the mixture too thin and slow down freezing. Once the onions are fully blended, transfer the mixture into freezer-safe bags or containers. If you're using bags, flatten them so the onions form an even layer. Squeeze out as much air as possible to prevent freezer burn. You can even divide the mixture into portions using chopsticks before freezing. Lay the bag flat in the freezer. Frozen onions won't stay crisp once thawed, but the flavor is still great for cooking. They're perfect for quick meals. Just break off what you need and toss it straight into the pan. No thawing needed. Stored this way, onions can last up to 6 months while keeping their taste and aroma. It's a simple, time-saving method that keeps onions ready whenever you need them. And that's it for today's video. If you found these tips helpful, please give the video a like. It really helps the channel. I'd also love to hear from you. How do you store onions at home? Share your tips in the comments below. I read every comment and love learning new ideas. For more easy kitchen hacks that save time and money, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.